Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Rick and Morty review. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at Season 3, Episode 2, Rickmancing the Stone. Finally, it finally premiered. Back in April, right, April 1st, we got the Season 3 premiere, and it was great, it was so good, it's so good to have the show back. And now it's June 30th, well, 31st as of recording this. It's right past midnight. And it's finally back. It's so good to have back. I'm so glad. And yeah, Rickmancing the Stone. This is it's not the best episode, but it's not the worst. It's kind of in the span of Rick and Morty episodes, it's kind of somewheres in the middle. There are some good moments, right? But let's just get into it. So it starts off, right? They just get back from a mission, and Jerry's moving out, right? He's in the driveway. Summer wants nothing to do with him. Morty's just trying to kind of play it off, right? Get him to go away. And Summer's like, let's just get, do we have a mission that'll probably kill us? Let's just do that. And she clearly doesn't want to be around him, but Rick kind of confuses it. Because for once, Rick isn't on top of everything, right? After the last episode where Rick was on top of everything, right? He was running the show. He won everything. This episode actually kind of knocks him down a peg, which is... I mean, we see it every once in a while, but it's a nice change of pace. And I mean, like, it's not like destroying him. It's just kind of a blast to his ego, but it's a nice change. So they all leave, and Jerry's just, loser. Right, you hear it in the wind. And then we get our intro. It's kind of changed. The first scene and the last scene are still the same, but everything else in between is kind of similar. Maybe they'll show up in future episodes, maybe they won't, who knows, only time will tell, right? But then we cut to them, and it's Mad Max, right? They're doing Mad Max, Fury Road, post-apocalyptic world, right? And Rick's after this stone, which it's the MacGuffin of the episode, right? And it gets even more MacGuffin-y. But Summer's totally down for this, right? She loves the post-apocalypse. She's killing people. There's this guy who's clearly meant to be Immortal Joe. That was his name, right? And she flips his car and kills him. And she's in love with the post-apocalypse, right? Because it's her running away from her problems. Because a big idea in this episode is how both her and Morty, and even Rick, cope with the divorce. Well, and Beth as well, and we'll get to that. But Rick finds out that the little rock, right, his little MacGuffin, there's actually a boulder-sized one of those, a giant MacGuffin. So he wants the giant MacGuffin. What is it, like uranium-312 or some dirge like that? It's a MacGuffin, it doesn't matter. So they end up, because Rick wants the rock and Summer wants to stay, they end up living amongst the blood people. They have, again, it's Mad Max. I mean, like, they have a Thunderdome that they call the Blood Dome, right? It's like Dark Souls to Bloodborne, right? Everything is just being replaced with the word blood. But Rick just wants the stone, right? Once they get it, they can get out. Summer goes adventuring with some wastelanders. It works fine. Because she's learned... They have, like, this thing where it's, like, before the boom boom, right? They've lost English, kind of. It's an intro... It's a very typical post-apocalyptic society that's clearly, in one hand, it's Mad Max, right? That's the obvious one, the raid of people on cars. But on the other hand, I feel like they're satirizing Fallout, and this scene of them in Seattle is a great example, and there's another example that we'll get to. But to get the stone, Rick basically gives Morty the super arm that is basically its own person. It's self-aware of everything that's happening, and it goes into the blood dome and starts killing people. And then Morty starts to enjoy it as well because he's using it to take out the anger of the divorce, right? It's him, it's Summer is dealing with it by just kind of enjoying the post-apocalypse. Morty's dealing with it by just killing people, right? It's usually Rick and Morty doesn't have a point, or the point is there is no point. But I kind of feel like this is the rare exception to the rule. This episode does kind of have a point. It's them coping. Which, they do make a point later on that, oh, it's all bullshit, it doesn't matter. But the point is still there. And then, they find out, the Raider gang finds out that Rick stole the stone, so he goes running away with it. Everyone's trying to stop him. The guy, the Buckethead, he may have a name, I don't care. He wants to kill Rick. Summer's kind of like, whatever, and Morty doesn't want him to. But Rick has this big deal, we need to get you back to properly deal with this, and also I have the portal gun and could just leave you guys here, right? And that's what he does. He literally leaves them there. And he ends up talking to Beth, right? And she's also, right, she's having her own coping mechanism. She feels bad. She's struggling. She's kind of tempted to call Jerry again. And of course, Rick wants the divorce, right? He wants everything to fall apart. And he's kind of no longer in control of the situation anymore now that he no longer has control of the kids because they're doing the whole post-apocalypse thing. So he's knocked down a peg, right? And he's not dealing with this well either now that he's no longer in control. And then back at the Blood Dome, we see Morty's hand, who it's a hand, and they talk about muscle memory, right? It's a fully trained warrior. But we never... It works like... They say later on it works like ghost rules, because we see this whole flashback of how its village was stormed, its family was killed and burned down, right? And now that it has Morty, it has a chance for revenge. We see Summer with Buckethead, and he takes off his bucket head, and he's got a mustache. They point out the mustache, but the weirder thing, in my opinion, is the tan. Right? It just kind of ends at his neck, and the top of his head is very pale. And yeah, the mustache isn't doing him any favors, neither is that haircut. Let's be honest here. It's like totally whack. Oh my god. And we cut back to Rick, and he's made robots of Morty and Summer, and to basically have dinner, right? To pretend they're still there. And it's not working out exactly as promised, or as he expected, because the robots are you get the feeling that they want to be human, and it's a really interesting concept, and we'll get back to it. But they're not doing a good job, they're making it worse, and it's just not, again, Rick is no longer winning, which is a nice change of pace. I don't expect it to last past this episode, honestly. We cut back to Morty, and he breaks into Caesar's Legion, kills a bunch of knights, and basically goes to the head. They explain how the arm works like ghost rules or whatnot, and that, maybe, what if we stay together and just kill people? It's all about different coping mechanisms, right? They all handle it differently, and it's nice that they're taking multiple perspectives from multiple events, right? It's very important, and it feels a lot... Okay, it's still Rick and Morty, but this episode feels different from Rick and Morty, right? Because it has a point. Things actually have meaning. The status quo isn't God, right? It's more complex than that. Which, we can see from Rick and Morty, we just don't see it that often. But he eventually kills the guy. Rick comes in and is like, yeah, no, we got to set everything right again, right? Right. And the arm didn't kill the guy, which there are some funny jokes, right? Every once in a while you get a good joke here and there. And this one's got a few. They take the rock back to Summer and Buckethead. And you find out that the rock is basically an endless energy source that can power their entire civilization. And Summer has gone full native, as you'd put it. So they build up a new civilization and basically turn it to like what it was before the post-apocalypse. Everything's going well again. And now Summer has been put in the role of Beth, right? She's now the breadwinner of the family. She's in charge. And she kind of realizes that maybe this society isn't what it seems. It goes full circle. She realizes, because before she just wanted to run away from her problems, now she's fully realized what her problems are and what exactly is going down. It's a nice example of going full circle. And she gets sick with it, and because Rick has this plan, right, by creating modern society. And again, this only happens in 3 weeks. That, everything will work, right? And it ruins their marriage, right? So they decide to leave, and I love, right before they leave, Rick steals the stone powering their entire society. Because, why not destroy a society? Is it really surprising from Rick? Again, good funny jokes. We cut back to the family, and robots have basically taken their position for the past 3 months. And robot Morty has become self-aware and wants to be human, right? He doesn't want to be turned off. He doesn't want to die and be reprogrammed. Which I think is an interesting episode in and of itself. I would love to see an episode about robots, right? And them becoming self-aware, and especially robot clones like this. There's a lot of depth here, and I feel like they barely touch the surface of it. Who knows? We'll see. And the family gets back together, right? They've coped with everything, Rick didn't really cope. He's now on top again, right? Things are working for him. Summer goes back to see Jerry, right? And kind of accepts that, maybe we shouldn't look back. Maybe we should just move on. It's all bullshit. It doesn't matter, right? The whole it doesn't matter moral that they're trying to push at the end, that doesn't really work because the entire episode's set up to matter, but it's not really too much of a problem with the episode because the episode works overall. And that's where it ends. It's a fine episode. It's not the strongest. The end credit scene is pointless. It's just Jerry being attacked by a wolf and calling him a loser again, which it's stating the redundant, right? But yeah, it's a fine episode. I'm glad the show's back. Next episode is Pickle Rick, which I am excited for. Oh, will that be fun. But with all this being said, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.